So when we were coming back from the last car show, I noticed that the brakes on the Chevy they seemed to be kind of mushy, and it wasn't stopping quite as nicely as it had been. And I thought at first that maybe I had a crack in one of the lines that was going to the vacuum canister that fed the booster. So I took a look at it when I got back into the garage, and those seemed to be fine. It wasn't until I looked at the master cylinder and checked that out that I saw this. And look what I found. The rear one's empty. That's not good. We need to add some brake fluid on that and bleed them out, make sure that they're working okay. If I'm not mistaken, if you look at the proportioning valve, that might be going over to the rear. I have not gotten any kind of an indication that I've got a problem with the brakes yet. But you know what? I don't even know if this sensor is hooked up. Guess what? It's not. Make sure you cap this right away after you've done putting in the fluid, because brake fluid has a nasty tendency to pick up moisture, and you don't want that to happen, because if you get moisture into the system, that is going to give you all sorts of trouble. I'm just going to close that up, and then we'll try pumping the brakes. After I got the master cylinder squared away, I decided to try to hunt down where that leak might be, and so I started hitting the most conspicuous areas. I was looking first at the front brakes to see if there was anything going on at the calipers, and then after that I moved to the rear to see if maybe I had some leaky brake cylinders. Starting with the passenger side, took a look at the caliper itself and the brake pads. They all looked nice and dry. I checked the bleeder as well as the brake line. I didn't see any cracks or anything like that, so this side looked fine. Same thing for the driver's side. Everything looked like it was squared away. I didn't see any leaks there either. Since I had the car up in the air, I figured it would be a good time to check the guide pins on the calipers. It's always a good idea to make sure that they stay clean and well lubricated. Otherwise, they can get sticky and you can get uneven brake pad wear. With the front section of the car checking out okay, I decided to move to the rear and see if I could find any spots where it might be leaking back there. First blush, I don't see anything leaking out of that cylinder. Seems fine. I don't see any wetness at all. I also checked underneath on the opposite side to see if there was any leakage, and I didn't find any. So this side looks pretty okay. Taking a look at the driver's side rear, those look just fine too. I saw no evidence of any leakage anywhere. Wonder what Derek Vieri's doing today. So we've helped rectify the brake problem, at least in the short term, simply by adding some brake fluid to that rear section of the master cylinder that was dead empty. The good news was that portioning valve had not moved, so those brakes started to engage right away, and the car stops very nicely now. But I still have some outstanding issues. That brake fluid had to go somewhere, So there's a leak. And in the rears, we pulled the drums off, took a look at everything in there. There was no wetness. I didn't see any problems along there. I even scooted along the back by the rear axle where that rear brake line actually runs, and then it tees into a central line that goes up the front. I didn't see anything there. So if there is a leak, and I'm sure there is, I'm guessing that it's going to be kind of a slow leak maybe, and that this has been going on over time. But I want to keep my eye on it, and I want to be able to track it down and fix it. With the current stuff that I have, I've got 4 jack stands and my 3-ton jack. It's hard for me to get that car up in the air enough to really scoot around underneath and look closely at stuff. But I have been looking at some other alternatives in the way of maybe having a lift of some kind in here. I have a couple of buddies of mine that have cars that they work on, have quick jack lifts, and they swear by them. They think that they're great. In the meantime, we'll just continue on with our work on the car, and I'll see you on the next video.